Hi everyone, thanks for checking out another InfoSec Hub video. Today we're going to talk about firewall testing, and this is a checklist of tools that you can use in order to check your firewall. I don't know all of the tools, so this can be used as a cheat sheet for future videos or for your own research. But if you're into firewall testing, then this is a great checklist of tools that are out there, and I will cover a few that I do know. So Nmap, for instance, is part of the Kali Linux series. It's a hacking tool, and with this you do a port scanning on a firewall. A firewall is always placed in front of a server, so it could be a web server, a database server, you name it. And let's keep it simple. If you have a web server, then port 80 should be open for HTTP traffic, and maybe HTTPS port should be open for secure web traffic. So only those two ports should be open, and the rest should be closed. What can you do with port scanning? You can scan what kind of ports are open. So port 80 would be open for sure if we're talking about a web server, but maybe the web server wasn't configured correctly, so maybe port 21 is open as well, and you can start see what's out there, what's behind it, if you can break into the server, because a port is just like an open door, to put it simple. This tool I'm not sure about, but fingerprinting is always something that's unique. Everyone has a unique fingerprint. So when you talk about a browser or operating system, it also has a fingerprint, because first of all, you have a unique OS in the form of license key, and also the number of software and the browsers and the browser plugins, and everything is configured the way you want it, making it unique. All right, so that's what fingerprinting is all about. But this is about OS fingerprinting. I'm not sure about Xprobe, but I might check it out in the future. This one, the firewall rule testing, is something that could be very effective. Let's say, for instance, you have a firewall that you only allow IPs from the country that you reside in to enter your network, and everything that's from across the border is not allowed. That could be an effective way to, let's say, for instance, you only have customers and you run a web server, and you only have customers from that country that you're from, and you want to make sure that no one from the rest of the world can go into your network and connect to your web server. Then you could use a GUIP rule to say only allowed IPs from this country, and the rest block it. So that could be a firewall rule, and you can use the tool FireWall to check those rules. And if you connect from a different country to see if you can still gain access to your web server, and if you're blocked, then you know that the firewall rules work. So that could be a way to test it out, even on a production environment. Let's see, IP spoofing, ICP tunneling. This all has to do with networking, DNS, domain name server tunneling, IPv6, ARP, interception of secure web traffic. So you can use an SSL strip. So you have HTTP traffic that's plain text, and the encryption is another layer, makes it secure. So if you can put that secure layer away, you can strip the SSL, secure socket layer, and you can look into the packets to actually see what's being transmitted. You can strip the encryption away from it and capture all the packets, and you still have everything in plain text. In other words, you can expect, it's not deep packet inspection, but you remove the encryption. So you're able to see in plain text what's happening. Nice tool. You can also fire that towards the firewall, for instance. If the firewall only allows HTTPS traffic to go through, to see if this SSL strip tool can still make sure that you can kind of decrypt what kind of data is flowing through. But I think you need a big amount of data in order to see what kind of encryption is on there, what kind of keys are being used. Again, this is all for the future when we start using it and try to understand the concept a bit better. Now I'm just talking from a concept level. So let's see what else. You could have a proxy server on your network and you want to bypass the proxy server, for instance, because the proxy server say you're not allowed to connect to a certain website, but I do want to go to the website. So I want to bypass the proxy server. And with this tool, Proxy Chain, you can see if that's possible. Also with firewall rules or the firewall in general, you can allow proxy traffic to happen. Each service on the internet has its own port, which functions like a door. You can either open the door or close the door. When the door is closed, perhaps there's an alternative route to my endpoint where I want to connect to. And with Proxy Chain, you can see if you can bypass or evade the proxy server. Same thing for a Tor and network evasion. Being able to connect to the dark web, for instance, you have onion addresses. You can, on firewall level, network level, block the interaction with the dark web based on the firewall rules. So you can see if you can bypass those rules and still connect to the Tor network. A little bit more complicated is a web application firewall. So we go back to the web server. I run a web server and I have a SaaS application that 100 people use, and we can place a firewall in front of the application. And because it's a web application firewall, or WAF. Already did a video about that as well. So with this tool, you can see if you can bypass that WAF firewall. Session hijacking. I don't know if you're a big YouTuber or just only focus into security. Not for a long time ago, a very big YouTube channel got hacked, basically because there was a session hijacking and they could gain access to the cookies, session cookies, and they could take over the YouTube channel since it was open on their device. And some guy decided to delete all the videos and put up crypto scheme stuff. Session hijacking is also a big thing. Let's see what else we got. VPN detection. Yeah, do you allow VPN connections to be made from the internet to your network or from your network through the internet? Also works with a port number, so you can block it. You can block the protocol, the port, etc., etc., etc. So here is again an overview of firewall testing. And a firewall is a rule set. What is allowed to connect to you? What are you allowed to connect to? So, for instance, nobody on your network needs to connect to North Korea, as an example. Then why don't you block that country? Then that country can also not connect to your network, and you cannot connect to them. Of course, when you have a North Korean using a VPN, so having a different IP address and using a VPN server in America, then you bypass it. But with everything on the internet, you're able to bypass it. So that's why also these tools are very important. You can enforce rules, and with this you can check the effectiveness of those rules, and maybe you need additional rules or additional packets going on to make the firewall more and more effective. Firewall is very old technology. It can be very effective, but it's never set and forget. Yeah, it's a nice overview, and this will be a bridge to future videos when we go into more depth of these tools, starting with Kali Linux, hopefully in the autumn. Want to thank you for watching. Hope you find it entertaining. Hope you find it interesting. If you have more questions about this, please let me know, and give a big shout out to Jonas Antonio da Santos for putting this checklist together. And I was able to cover a few of those tools. Again, I don't know them all, but this is a nice cheat sheet for people that want to do some firewall testing. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.